So here's what's happening in the markets today. It's kind of wild. First off, China's been playing some serious money games. Normally, they release their M1 data, which shows how much cash is actually being circulated in the economy, on time, but this time they delayed it for 5 days. That's really unusual. Why? Turns out China had a plan. Instead of immediately showing their hand, they spent the week pumping and dumping their stock market. One day up 20%, the next down 10%, then up 6%, down 5%. Classic market manipulation. And they did all this right before releasing M1 on a Friday. What's the big deal? Well, Monday is a US holiday, so when China's stock market opens, only their local investors can jump in first. Foreign investors, like the US, have to wait until Tuesday. So basically, China's people get first dibs on cheap stocks before the rest of the world can pile in. Sneaky, right? Now, how does this affect crypto? Simple. The fact that China is increasing M1 means more liquidity, more cash flowing into the economy. And guess what? That's bullish for Bitcoin and other cryptos. Over the next 3 to 6 months, we should see crypto performing well because this fresh liquidity has to go somewhere. But let's talk about today's timeline in UTC-6. 8 a.m., 3 p.m. markets should be mostly green, bullish because of China's M1 release. Altcoins will benefit the most. 4 p.m., 6 p.m., a bit of a dip, red candles. 7 p.m., 11 p.m., market goes into a chill mode, Wolls relaxed, meaning no big moves. Midnight, 8 a.m., Bitcoin tends to follow whatever happened earlier in the day. Now let's zoom out a bit. There's also a bigger economic war happening. The US knows that China is manipulating its currency. China keeps making its money weaker on purpose. Why? Because when China exports goods, they get paid in dollars. A weaker yuan means their exports become cheaper, making them more competitive in the global market. This is also why China has been buying a ton of gold to prepare in case they get hit with sanctions. The US is fighting back in its own way. The Basel III Endgame is in play, which forces banks to hold more capital in dollars to prevent a crisis. But here's the problem. This strengthens the dollar while draining liquidity from everywhere else. That means while the US might avoid a financial collapse, a lot of other countries, especially those not aligned with the US, could suffer major crises. What about politics? Oh man, things are getting spicy. Trump, of all people, is now trying to bring Russia back into the G7. Why? Probably to break up the growing China-Russia alliance. But China is standing firm. Their foreign minister literally said, if the US is bent on suppressing China, then we have no choice but to play along to the end. Translation: if the US keeps trying to mess with China, China is fully ready for an economic war. And honestly, all this fighting over money and power, it's kind of dumb. Even Elon Musk gets it. He's like, why are we fighting over resources on Earth? Let's go to Mars instead. Makes sense, right? If Earth's economy is too crowded, just go expand into space. Who knows? Maybe there's gold on Mars. Final takeaway. Crypto looks bullish in the coming months thanks to China's liquidity injection. Short term, Bitcoin could pump hard next week. Today and tomorrow, altcoins will perform well. Is trying to control the dollar, but it might cause crises elsewhere. China and the US are locked in an economic battle that will shake up global markets. So, if you're in crypto, strap in. Things are about to get interesting.